Welcome back to the show, everyone. On the video chat, we have Buck Angel. Buck's a trans activist and entrepreneur, speaker, also in the cannabis industry. We'll talk about all of that coming up, of course. But first, welcome to the show, Buck.
Oh, thank you, friend. We've been trying to connect for a while now,
Yeah,
so
it's
I really
sometimes that's the way it goes with the interviews
right
is
on.
the back and forth and the scheduling, and then I have technical
Yeah,
issues at inopportune times, seemingly always.
we all do, all of
Absolutely.
us, my friend.
Like I said many times
So
before, I mean, I should be more in awe of what I'm able to do in 2020 with this technology and all that. But as soon as something goes wrong with technology, I mean, oh, this is crap. I hate this technology. Screw all this. I'm not going to do this anymore.
yep. I know it's funny
Um,
because we get spoiled. We just
yeah,
are spoiled now. We want everything like this. And
yeah, I
remember the
was
days where you had to drive to the market. You didn't get stuff
absolutely.
delivered.
I remember trying to get 5-minute MP3s onto the internet in 2001, and it was impossible.
Dude,
If
I
anything,
so remember those days.
it was absolutely because it took hours and hours and hours, and nothing could go wrong. If there was any kind of glitch, you had to start all over on your
That's
modem, and
right.
it was
Try
horrible.
uploading. Oh my God, I used
Yeah,
to try to upload all my films. Forget it, man. And then it used to be AOL dial up. Remember that?
exactly.
Excellent.
And how far we've come in 20 years is absolutely incredible. Before we
Oh,
get to
wow.
anything else, obviously the last 6 or 7 months have been dominated by the coronavirus. How the last 6 and 7 months been for you?
Wow. Well, I think now I'm just sort of settled in. It took me that long. I'm going to tell you that I'm not, it hasn't affected me in a way that I think it's affected a lot of other people because I own my own businesses and I'm in the cannabis business and I'm also in the sexual wellness business. So my business hasn't really been hit that bad. That said, I think more mentally, it's been a little bit more draining on me just because I'm not seeing people, and I'm a person who travels the world and speaks all over the world, and I sort of miss that interaction with people and doing that kind of work.
Yeah. For people who don't know, and I know you've told the story a million times, you've been
Mm,
around for a long time. I remember hearing you
mm.
on the Howard Stern show back in the days when
Yeah,
I was a avid fan of Howard Stern.
right on.
How did you first, or when did you first start getting feelings that the gender that you were, or that people told you you were, that you were
Mhm.
uncomfortable with that? About when did that start?
Well, I could say my whole life since I was a little
Yeah.
kid. My parents were amazing. I was born in 1962. I'm 58 years old. And so back in those days, like pretty much the Wild West, we did not talk about it. I was just a little tomboy, and I was going to grow out of it. And I played with all the boys. I didn't play with girl toys. I was literally a little boy. My parents, called me Buck. And there was never any issues because I think that, again, they thought I would grow out of it. It wasn't really until puberty, which I can say probably a lot of people like me. That seems, and even just in general, people, puberty is not an easy space to be in for anybody. But for a person like myself, puberty sort of made me feel as if my body wasn't mine, for a better way to describe it. And I started growing breasts and I started, menstruating. And these are things that I was like, what? What's happening to my, it
Yeah.
literally spiraled me out. So that's pretty much where things started for me, and I just always felt like a boy, but when I started to change into a girl, that really affected me mentally.
Yeah. How did you come to the decision to go ahead and make the transition? Because back then, obviously, it's not
Mm.
as common as it is today.
No, not even. Oh my God, dude. It's like what we were talking about earlier. It's like AOL. It's AOL versus today. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, there's like, I'm literally an experiment. I mean, I transitioned to a man 25 years ago in Los Angeles, California, and both my doctors, my hormone doctor and my, the doctor who removed my breasts, both had never done those surgeries before. And my
Wow.
hormone doctor, basically, he really actually used the words. He said, I've never done this before. I mostly work with men becoming women, and you're going to be my guinea pig. He actually called me a
Wow.
guinea pig. Now I can laugh at it, and I made it. But at the time, it was
Yeah.
distressing. And to be honest with you, and to everyone listening, it was a life or death situation for me. I would not be here today if I did not look the way I look today. No way.
So how did you make the decision to, or did it come hand in hand? You made a
Mhm.
decision to transition. When did you make the decision to also become an
Uh-huh.
activist and to start to speak out about
Yeah.
it?
So it was hard for me because there was no internet really when I transitioned, and there just wasn't anything what pretty much everybody can do now is Google Trans or how to transition or doctors or all these things I did not have. And so that being said, I had to really find my space and find where I could find doctors, and I made an effort and I found booklets at bookstores. And my decision to transition only came because my therapist, the only therapist who ever said to me, yeah, I believe you're a guy, because I would say it to so many therapists back in the day, and they would just had no tools, and they would just call me a gay woman, and they just would say, you're just a lesbian, you're a very male identified female. And not to say that I could not have been, but I wasn't. And that said, I knew that I was a guy, but nobody could hear it from me because we did not have what we have today. And this is really, if any youngsters are listening out there, you must understand the privilege you have is so huge. And it's not because of me, it's because of people before me. And so really today you can transition in such a space that no one questions you, or I got questioned up and down. And I've always known, like I said, I would not be here. I was suicidal. I was an alcoholic. I was homeless, prostitute, everything, man, just to stay alive. And so my mantra when I transitioned was, if it doesn't work out, I'll just kill myself, because I didn't even know how I would look or how I would be.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so many things we can take for granted, how fast
That's
things
right.
have come. When you were talking about the therapy earlier, I was thinking to myself, and obviously it's not really comparable, but even 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, talking to therapists about cannabis was something that they're like, oh, you got to get off that immediately. That's causing so many problems. You can't do that.
Yep.
And now a lot of them are like, oh yeah, how much do you smoke? How does it help you?
Thank God.
What are the effects? Is it going well?
That's
so,
right.
you talk about children, and I was going to ask you, I've been meaning to ask you since we started the back and forth about doing this interview, I've had the question written down about parents transitioning children. And I noticed you had a poll recently on your Twitter. 86% of respondents said that they think that children are being indoctrinated into the trans identity. What are your thoughts about parents transitioning children, puberty blockers, all that stuff?
Wow, it's a heavy question. And let me tell you, first off, that was a question I posed to the world. And there's been so many trans people just coming at me. How dare you ask this? That's transphobic. I'm like, it's a question and I want to know. Why do I want to know? Because the more information we know, the better we can handle things and the better we can move things forward. If 86% of 3,000 people who voted said that they believe children are being indoctrinated, that says something to me as an elder in the community and somebody who cares about transitioning. Transitioning saved my life. I'm not saying kids should not transition. I'm saying, why are kids transitioning and what's happening, and why are there so many, mostly little girls transitioning to boys, not little boys transitioning to girls. So my mind is like, what's happening here? And I'm entitled to ask that question as a transsexual person. So I asked that question in regards to the fact that I'm concerned. I'm concerned that other people are concerned. Every day, my friend, a parent writes me an email or writes me a DM and says, oh my God, can you help me? My child just came home from school and said they're trans. They've never said it before. They want chest surgery. They're crying. They decide they don't want to talk to me anymore. They're alienating themselves. I'm like, what is happening? What kid just all of a sudden says they're trans? And where are they getting that lingo from? I never said I was trans. I always said I was a guy. So my mind looks at it in a different way because I'm an older person and I just see a different space happening. And not to say that it's the wrong space, but I see people pushing back on it, and I want to know why. So I ask the hard questions that nobody will ask because they're too scared to get nailed by the mob.
Yeah, it's a weird thing on Twitter. I know, like, obviously, if someone like me talks about the issue, the case can be made quickly that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but someone like you or Blair White or someone else will go on Twitter and basically just say, in your case, I'm a biological woman. And then there's a certain percentage of people on Twitter who would just go absolutely apeshit about that.
It's hilarious.
And it just seems, and somebody like me, it seems, like a pretty simple thing. But what are your thoughts on the way that Twitter especially is evolving on this issue?
I'm disgusted. First off, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm disgusted in part of my community, the transgender community. They are not doing it right. I've been doing my activism for over 25 years. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the best tranny in the world, because I'm not. I do things my way. I'm very, you see me, man. I just say shit. Don't even try it. I will say what I want to say, whether you like it or not. If you disagree with me, go ahead. I want you to disagree with me, but don't say things to me that are gross and disgusting. And that said, I see a part of the transgender community that's upsetting me, and it's not building bridges. As you know, I'm a bridge builder. I've been doing this work, and I've built so many bridges across to people who see me as a man, even though I was born a woman, and they never question it. But now these people are making it so people are looking at us like we're freaks. And I worked so hard to make it not that way. And today people are saying biology doesn't exist. You're not really a man and a woman. You know how disrespectful that is to you, my friend? And most of my friends are all biological men and women. And I'm like, I'm not going to be a part of that. And also, I'm not going to be a part of tearing apart women's spaces. I was a woman for many years. And so there's just a lot of levels of hate and intolerance, and I want to coexist in the world. I'm a transsexual man. That's not anything I can ever get rid of. It is who I am, what I am. I live as a man. Look at me. I don't think anybody will ever disagree with that. I look male. That's all I ever wanted. But I'm a biological female. There's, this idea that we can change biology is not going to make us in a better space for the trans people. It's going to push people against us. It's going to make people not let people transition. It's going to hurt us more than it's already hurting us on so many levels. And so, yeah, it's a space that you have to be. Twitter is a space you have to be prepared for an argument, whether you want it or not. It's just that space.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to sound like the old guy on Twitter, but it used to be a fun place, and now it's just toxic.
Social media used to be fun, dude. It's all toxic. Yeah. Try speaking your mind. Wham! Someone's going to come over and run you over. And I'm just like, no, you know what? I have to stand up. Whether or not I like it or not, you know why I have to do that? Because I do want to see young trans people see me standing up for my rights. I want people to see that, no, you cannot fall into this fascist behavior of shutting down conversation because you think it's transphobic. And J.K. Rowling, the way they've steamrolled over her without giving her an opportunity to have a conversation is disgusting, and I won't be a part of that. J.K. is not transphobic. What she is a woman who needs to voice her opinion about a space she lives in. Why can trans people say things, but other people can't? That's the thing for me. You have to make it a level playing field. You can't expect to be the only one who has opinions and a desire to express that without letting other people express their own opinions.
Yeah. I think one of the important things to remember about Twitter is even though there's a small percentage who are constantly chirping, there's also a larger percentage who are more silent and watching and listening and internalizing things. And those are the people that you want to try to reach, not the people who are.
That's exactly right.
A lot of people have their minds made up, and they're gonna dig in, and that's the end of it. There's a lot of people out there who just have questions about what's going on.
That's right. And it's why I make myself available. If these trans people are not going to make themselves available, and I'm going to be like, you have to call me a woman, and trans women are women, and trans men are men, and fuck you, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm going to be the tranny who steps up and says, you want to ask a question? Give it to me, my friend. I'll answer it. I'm not in any way, shape, or form offended by anything. People call me lady all the time. I'm like, you go right ahead and call me a lady. Everyone's going to think you're a wingnut, dude. I don't really care. I want to teach the kids to learn how to walk through the world. People are not going to like you. It's just the way it is. And people are going to say things to you. And if you think that isn't going to happen in real life, you're going to be not participating in life in a very good way. And so I want them to see that, just because the trans community has this idea, I'm not a part of that, and I don't have to be. I'm an individual person, and the community comes after my individuality.
Yeah. So cannabis, of course, a big part of the show, a big part of your life. How did you discover cannabis and the benefits that come with it?
Yeah, thank you. So, I'm sober from drugs and alcohol for 30 plus years. I had such a hard problem with cocaine and all the gnarly shit. I smoked crack. I was homeless. Oh man, you wouldn't even believe that I'm sitting here. I drank alcohol like it was water. I mean, I was suicidal. I was so bad, my friend. And then I was blessed to be able to get out of it. And I was saved on some level. And that's how I transitioned. And through my transition, I really became aware of myself. And so I think it was about 5 or maybe maybe more, 7 or so years ago, I have really bad insomnia. And it's just because, as you see, I'm just like, I'm all over the place. And so I couldn't sleep, and I started taking sleeping pills, and those are drugs. And I would wake up like literally in the morning, like, I can't do anything. I got a good night's sleep, but I'm totally out of my mind. So my friend goes, dude, try weed. And I'm like, I'm sober. He's like, seriously, dude, you're taking sleeping pills. I'm like, actually, you're right. Okay. So I smoked a joint. I fell sleeping till the next morning. And I was like, oh my God, I found my medicine. And then I didn't smoke. I don't smoke in the day. I'm very much use it as a medication. I mean, if I'm at a party and I'm hanging out with people, I might, do that. But most of the time, it's mostly something to take me out of my crazy head at night and, get me out of my insomnia and my anxiety and all of that. So that was 7 or so years ago. And I just haven't looked back. It's been the most amazing space to be in for so many levels of my health. And so that's when I actually started this business called Pri Wellness 5 years ago, a cannabis company.
Yeah, I was talking earlier about cannabis entrepreneurship. What are some of the things that you're doing in the cannabis space with the delivery and that much
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, so I started a company called Pri Wellness with my friend who's also a trans man. And so it's the first all trans owned LGBT focused cannabis company. And so it's called Pri Wellness. And we did it in order to sort of educate the community on the use of cannabis and why it is a medicine and not a drug. LGBT community does have a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol. There's just a lot of stuff going on there. And people, people use drugs and alcohol to sort of escape. And I want to teach people that you don't have to escape, but you can use plant medicine as a way to sort of start to learn about yourself. And it's not for everybody. That's the other thing I really talk about. Marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to talk about, call it, is not for everyone. And that is really a big part of our education. And, and also giving back to the community. So by creating this business, we have been able to create jobs for our community. We have opened a delivery service, creating jobs there. And also we give back $1 from each of our products to the LGBT Center Senior Services in Los Angeles. And we've given over about $20,000 in the last couple years to that organization, really helping seniors who are homeless. I can't believe we have LGBT homeless seniors. That's just devastating.
Yeah. It's definitely just, I say it all the time, obviously, and it's a crazy time. I know it seems like that to every generation, but I can't help but think that this is an especially crazy time.
It is especially crazy. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I've been around a long time. I've been an activist in the LGBT community. I was around during AIDS. I lost all my friends to AIDS. I was an AIDS activist. Like, I can just tell you today, I don't know what's happening. The LGBT community is so broken up. So many people dislike trans people because they're just, I don't know what's happening there. And like, nobody likes anybody else. And politically, everyone is just so out there. And then there's just, far left and there's a far right. And those people are completely insane. Let them fight each other. I'm moving over. I'm going to the middle, my friend.
Yeah, they're quite insane and very vocal, and even sometimes even more than that. And it's
violent. They're violent. Both sides are violent, and it's not okay. I'm not okay with that. It's not how you make shit happen. It's just not.
Absolutely.
No.
So entrepreneurship outside the cannabis space, what are some other things that you're involved in that people can check out?
Yeah, right on. So also outside of the space, I started my work in pornography 20 years ago, and I created the genre of trans male pornography. And through that, so that's sort of how I kind of moved up into the world of entrepreneurship. And I created the world's first trans male sexual wellness products, which are like masturbators and things like that help guys deal with their dysphoria. I don't have a penis. And so because of that, you can become a little dysphoric when you go somewhere and you just don't have a penis and you look like a dude. People look at your package. And so I created products that make it look like you have a package. And also people can masturbate with them and really learn how to enjoy their bodies that, we've always been disassociated with our bodies because, my body was female for so long. And now I had to learn how to accept it in a way that, I didn't get that surgery because it wasn't available to me. And so a lot of guys aren't getting that surgery still today. So I'm so blessed on so many levels that I can be an entrepreneur and really create businesses. And then again, I want the youth to see that you have every opportunity out there, even the opportunities of cisgender people. You just have to learn how to walk the world and also be respectful of the world. You can't just walk over top of people and think people, I get everything I need need because I listen and I participate and I want to help the world become a better place. And that's why being in sexual wellness and also being in cannabis are two things that are very dear to me. And I believe that they make people happy. I'm in the happy business.
Absolutely. Well, buckangel.com. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Awesome.
Before we let you go, is there anything else, any parting words for the people out there listening and watching?
Well, I want you to say this. Please look me up and please make your own decisions on me. And people will say things about me, and that's a good thing because I want to keep my name on people's lips. But that said, I think people need to stop just hearing stuff and believing it. You got to do some research. Today, there's just so many lies and people just so many canceling out people because they don't like what they're saying. Do your research and see what people are doing out there. And you'll see there's a lot of really great people doing change, not just those crazy wingnut people making horrible things happen. But, there are a lot of really great people out there. And so, like you giving me the space to sort of educate people on things they might not know. So I appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I absolutely appreciate you coming on. I love
Right on.
not only education, but talking to interesting people. And it's just a great thing. Buck, if you ever
Excellent.
have anything else you want to talk about, you let us know and you can come back on any time. And I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Excellent, my friend. Yeah, for sure. We will talk again. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Buck. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Bye.